Hey everybody, Jim Toscano here, and welcome to the Monday night live stream, Filling in the Grooves, which tonight is a special episode for me because I have some of my good buddies in here with me tonight, and I'm going to introduce them in just a moment. But this is the first of sort of some interview-style streams that are coming up, so I'm kind of splitting the month. I used to do just drum set streams and drum set tutorials, and then I started interviewing musicians from various artists that I work with and bands that I work with. And then recently I've been just wanting to showcase more educators and more drummers. And so we have some really great stuff coming up. This week I have I call them my O for Drum's Sake squad in with us tonight. So you'll be meeting them in just a moment. And then next week I'm going to do the drumming of James Gadsden as a bass and drums kind of breakdown, which should be a lot of fun. And the week after that, I'm just doing some fills. And then March 29th, Dom Famularo will be in here, completely wrecking my studio and making lots of noise, and we'll be cheering for Dom. And then in April, I have David Garibaldi coming up, April 5th. And the following week, or the week after, April 16th, I believe it is. I know I have that date wrong. Coming up in April, I have Stanton Moore as well, and others. So there'll be other great people coming in here, and more of the Groove Master series that we're doing, breaking down the drumming of different guys. So before I get into it, I just want to mention, and I already made a short little video about this, but Focusrite has updated Focusrite control for Apple machines with the M1 chip. So if you have a silicone chip machine, download Focusrite Control, the newest one, and you're good to go. Because I know the guys that have been following me and buying the new Apple machines were having trouble because Focusrite Control did not work. So it now works. So just a little heads up about that. And if I just want to mention my companies too, Sabian Cymbals, Prologix Practice Pads, Offset Pedals, and Blackmagic Designs for switchers and cameras and all kinds of goodies, and Zoom audio and cameras. So those are the sponsors. And then I also want to mention, follow me on social media. If you go and follow my link tree, you can get to all of my social links. So please follow me on social media. And without any further ado, let me bring in my Zoom window, and we're going to talk to the gang. Oh, they're all here. Look at these beautiful faces. So,
hey, everybody.
As always, I'm up in the top here with my colorful, silly room. And, wait, I'm pointing the wrong way. There we go. And to my, well, I guess if you're looking at it this way, to my right, Janine Canino Fox with O for Drum's Sake is here tonight. Say hi, Janine.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Janine has a great podcast and an Instagram channel that we're going to get into and talk about that is just really spreading the enthusiasm and the love of drumming. And she is really bringing anybody of any level, beginners, pros, into her Instagram page and featuring them. And it's just like building a really wonderful community. And it's something that Janine, I think, is doing for the love of it, the absolute love of it, which we're going to get into. And actually here with Janine, right below Janine, is her drum teacher and fellow educator, very talented man, John Gil. Boop, over in that way. I have to point opposite. It doesn't work. There's John Gil. And actually we'll show, everybody's websites at some point in here, probably when I check in with the chat, and I'll bring up some graphics. And then to the left of John Gil, my good buddy, Bobby Angilletta, fellow drummer and educator, and also one of my coaching peeps.
Yes, so thank you so much. Saved my life.
Nice. Yeah, well, I think in this crazy time that we've been in, everybody was kind of scratching their heads in the beginning, trying to figure out how to make this all work. And, luckily I kind of went through it for a while, many years before, and made all the mistakes and, learned from those mistakes. I started out with a security switcher and some really awful cameras. And, I was doing it kind of, modeling after Dom Famularo, getting into the online thing. And then, so hopefully my experience and all my failures And then some of my conquests have helped you guys along the way. So, so we're going to get into it. And basically, I kind of want to start with Janine, because I think, first of all, you're not an educator like the rest of us here, and you would consider yourself more of kind of a new drum student. Is that correct?
Correct.
Like
I'm
in the
a
last
3-year student.
How many years?
3.
3 years. So that's incredible to me, the fact that you're just right off the bat just putting it out there, spreading the word, doing your thing. I'm going to actually let me see if I can. Yeah, I can't show the graphic. I'll go back to the graphic in a little bit. I wanted to show your Instagram page, which the handle is O for Drum's Sake for your podcast handle. And so is that page more of just a home for everything drumming on Instagram that you do, or is it really just for the showcasing of others? I mean, what is the main point behind that and philosophy behind it?
Well, first of all, it's kind of a mix of both. I showcase drummers all the time, all different skill levels, all different ages, quite a few times a week and quite a few times a day, actually. And then periodically, maybe once a month, twice a month, we'll do a podcast with Bobby and John and you and whomever, just to talk about drums and talk about life and how they intertwine together. So that's how the whole thing started. I just, COVID hit and I went from in-person lessons to online lessons, and I was kind of confused, and I didn't know how to do a Zoom, and I wasn't sure what I was doing. So I thought, if I'm feeling this way, maybe some others are feeling this way. So let's get it started. Let's get talking about it. And that's kind of how the whole thing started. So, and I'm so pleased. It's growing every day. So it's been really good.
Well, you're super active on it. Like you'll post several times a day. Like,
I know.
I have to say, man, I've been really bad like lately about my social media, where usually, in the past I was so on it and like posting, I try to do categories throughout the day of different posts, but I've been working a lot. Thank God. I feel very fortunate, but I've been working a lot. So I'm in here 8 o'clock in the morning with international students and then going till late at night, and sometimes not even promoting my own show and not getting to it. But you're super busy, putting up content, which is incredible. So what is that work ethic like for you, and how often are you sitting at the computer getting stuff together?
Well, I, in a way, over the course of time, in less than a year, I feel a responsibility that I have to get it out there. I feel like I have to, every few hours, showcase another drummer and show something else that's going on. And somehow it just escalated to this 2 to 3 times a day. So I get up, I post a drummer. A few hours later, I post another drummer. So I kind of it goes throughout the day. So we try and get everybody on there as well as as much as we can. So
yeah, that's amazing. And you're featuring a lot of kids, which I think is really wonderful. Yeah. And some of my students are following your page now, which is great. And you've actually had one of my students on a podcast, Lucia. Hopefully she's in here watching tonight. I'm going to check the chat in a minute. And and it's just so amazing. And who's the little girl, Allegra?
Oh, she's wonderful.
Oh my God, so talented. I don't know where you found her, but she's been great, and you've been featuring her a lot, and it's just so nice to see it.
Yeah, she's extraordinary. I just happened to stumble upon her, and I just fell in love with her because she's smiling behind her kid. She's just playing from her heart. She's having a good time. So that's how I found Allegra, and her family has become really great friends of mine. So we're like pen pals, and we send little gifts to each other. So it's been wonderful, really wonderful.
Wow, that's amazing. So, and that reminds me, of my little Lucia, who has that enthusiasm, right? That big smile when she's playing. It's so funny because drummers, and I'm definitely, drummer face, right? We're all guilty of it. Like, you get into the zone and you're concentrating, and you see a picture of yourself playing, and your face is like contorted, and you're concentrating really hard. Like drummer face can be. It's not always Art Blakey, like with the big smile and like, and the teeth. It's like a lot of us are sort of like, we're in pain. We're like thinking and concentrating. And these kids are just so like happy and smiling. And I think it's the female drummers are better at that, at communicating the joy better than the guys. You hear that, men? All the guys out there, smile when you play. And I'm guilty of it. I have to do that as well. But I think
well, I look at it like this. You're getting to play the drums, so why not smile? Isn't that worth smiling, even if it's not so good?
Oh, yeah.
Better than not. So
yeah. And, in this time of like COVID and everything that's happened over the last year, I mean, think how healing all of this is, right? Mm-hmm. Not just playing, but this coming together, this like melding of minds. And, drummers, we're a different species, man. It's a totally different thing, I think. I make the joke every single week, so everybody's sick of it, but there are not these hangs. I'm going to use banjo players. There's no banjo players getting together, having this camaraderie that we have, sharing of ideas, and there's not an ego trip either. It's sort of like, amazing drummers hanging with beginner drummers, and like I did an interview with Dave Weckl for Rhythm Magazine, and he's so humble and nice, and he's one of my all-time heroes, and it's just amazing to see how we all come together in this world of drums, right? So I'm going to kind of pass it around. Let's go down to John. So, John, how are you doing, sir? How's everything going?
Doing fine, doing well. How are you doing?
Doing good. So now from the educator standpoint, and you teach Janine, which is, you're very fortunate to have the enthusiasm of a young lady like this who's playing and loves it and joyful. So tell me about that experience and not just, of course, the experience with Janine, but just how it's been lately teaching in this online environment and your experience.
Yeah, it's been a real challenging transition. I mean, I was teaching for 12 years straight at the Eighth Note Music Store in Oneonta. And before that, I was down on Long Island and I was teaching privately, and I was teaching as well in a Baptist church. And that was a fantastic experience. But then going to online, I mean, I started out and wound up having one webcam and a Yeti mic. And now I'm looking around, there's I counted today 9 microphones and 4 cameras. And, we've got the Focusrite over here. So we've got all the tech stuff going on. And my son is my tech. I mean, he is brilliant, really, with the computer stuff. So he actually set up everything over here for me. But I think the challenging thing on the other end is, like this afternoon, working with a student and trying to get their sound to sound correct and get the camera angle set up.
Yeah.
So you're not only teaching as a drum instructor, but as as a tech expert that you are, you're working with people to try and get that balance back and forth. Okay. So that's been challenging as well. But working with Janine is it's not only a pleasure, but it's like I'm pleasantly on call 24/7 with this lady.
Nice.
She's working on setting up a video submission for Hit Like a Girl.
Yeah.
So a couple times a day. Hey, I've been practicing for 15 hours already. What do you think about this? Literally, she does that because she's up in the morning. I'm getting a text at 8 o'clock in the morning with the video.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
I mean, if every student was like that, it would be incredible. I mean, just someone who's grown so much in the past couple of years, And the interesting thing about her is she called me probably about 4 years ago about taking a drum lesson, right? And then she called back and she said, "I'm sorry, I have to cancel." And I'm like, okay. So, well, that happens all the time, right? So then she said, "Well, I will be calling back." And guess what? She called back. Okay. And this lady came into my studio and literally lit it up. She was so enthusiastic, right? And she said the one thing to me, she goes, "Listen, this has to be fun." Okay. And I mean, it has to be. If people vote with their feet, okay? And if they're not having fun, they're not going to come back, right? So she has been probably the best. She's my AA student. And I'm not just saying that because she's here, because she is so motivated. Her motivation motivates me. I mean, it gets me down here, it gets me practicing. And giving her like today, I mean, a couple of times texting back and forth, right? She's sending me the video, she sends me another one. She's ready to pull her hair out. And I'm like,
yeah,
you have to just lighten up a little bit, Remember, the word's fun. That's why you get into this. So yeah, it's been a lot different for me. and it's good. You know, I think the whole thing with music is with life. It's a learning experience. So you want to keep learning, you want to keep growing. And I know I bugged you a couple of times with a couple of questions on the setup and whatever. And we did that wonderful session back about a month or two ago, where we were working with editing software. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
And, yeah, we were working on that. So yeah, it's good. You know, and I think that's what keeps you young at heart, is continuing to learn and continuing to move forward. And then the reward is seeing other people move forward as well. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
that's probably the greatest thing as an educator that you look for, and you want to be remembered. You know, it's, you know, you play and people applaud and the applause is gone. Okay. But when you're teaching someone and they're learning something and they come back and they say thanks, or, hey, I just did this. My question always, like when I'm teaching, is like, so, hey, what did you do this week? What did you work on? You know, sometimes they say they worked on stuff I gave them. Other times, like, hey, I discovered this. What do you think? Okay. And that becomes the lesson.
Nice.
And that's what you walk away as with a drum instructor, whether you're, you know, person to person in face or virtually, when you're seeing that person light up and you're seeing that you made a little bit of an impact on their life, that's the reward.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's how I'm doing. You know?
Planting those seeds, you know. I mean, that's the way I try to think of it. Like, you know, it's the same thing. You know, you take a sticking variation and you show them something just in passing in a lesson, and you plant that seed, and then it's like they come back with 10 more things that they came up with from that one thing.
The little finger exercise. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm doing while we're here, you know, but yeah. It's all good. You know, I think it's really a two-way street. I think that, you know, they learn from us as much as we learn from them. And I looked back a couple of years ago, I was doing a piano course, and the one thing that it taught me was to be back in the student's chair again on an instrument that wasn't familiar to me, you know. And when they say to me, oh, my left hand is not doing this, well, try playing a walking bass line with your left hand over like some chords. And then you really find out how stupid the other hand is. So it puts you back. You understand what people are going through. And I think that makes you a better instructor.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, the way I like to look at it is, you know, I'm a lifetime student of this instrument, because you're never going to know everything. Mm-hmm. And there's so much to learn. And if you're just open to it, you know, if you're somebody that's open to new ideas and wants to push yourself, then you're never going to run out of things to do. There's always going to be something to work on in this instrument.
Yeah. So. I mean, I was teaching a page out of stick control. I was doing, you know, left-hand independence, and then the lesson after that, I was doing like a double bass lesson.
Right.
So, I mean, it's little notes. It's, you know, it's angle on a page, and it's what you can bring to it, and then give that out to other people. You know. Yeah,
indeed. Nice. Well, let's do a little intro with Bobby A here. So,
Bobby A got to say.
Yeah. Now, so I am gonna ask you about that. By the way, what does Bobby A got to say? So Bobby A is another educator, and I mean, let me just mention this. So you guys are all in the upstate area, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So Bobby, you're up in Albany.
Yes.
And Janine and John, you live close by to each other, correct?
Yeah. I'm 5 miles out of Oneonta, New York, and another 12 where Cooperstown is, the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Right.
And Janine, I think you're what, maybe about 10, 12 miles from me in Otsego,
right? Right. I think I'm west, you're east out of Oneonta, so yeah.
Got it. Yep. And Bobby's up in Albany.
And I'm originally from that area, so my hometown is Otsego, where Janine is from, and my family's Italian restaurant is in Oneonta, where John is.
Wow.
But then I had to get out of there because the competition was getting too thick, and so I had to move to Albany. They pushed me out to Albany.
They pushed you out, right? Nice. So same thing for you, really. Just you know, how are things going for you? I know you've been staying pretty busy. And I know it was a challenge in the beginning with the tech stuff, but I think we got you to a really good place. Your studio's looking great. It's like every time I met with you, there'd be something else in there coming in, and then it would be like, I still have this GoPro from like 5 years ago. I never opened it. And then, you know, so how is everything going for you, and what's been sort of the biggest challenge, and maybe what's been sort of something really positive that's come out of the whole situation?
You know, the challenge part was just getting the equipment going and still the learning curve of the equipment a little bit. But it's been mostly a positive experience for me because I've been wanting to do this studio in the house for a long time. And it took COVID to sort of push me to have to do it. And I like teaching online. I like the experience of, you know, having the headset on and having the drums mic'd up and being able to see into the students' homes to see how their drums are and where I can help them in that area. And, you know, some of the challenges are like what John said. I went and invested on all of this, and I'm putting out a good sound, and I'm still getting a lot of students that are just on their iPhone and sound clipping and stuff like that. So I have to focus a little bit more and pay attention and really be clear with my directions and make sure that they are being motivated and that they're going to do the work during the week. You know, overall, I'm happy with the new direction, and I've also been using the time to develop my own self and my own brand and my own visual experience, since everything is in sort of this medium these days, so that when things open back up, I'll have both areas covered. You know, it's not going to be hard for me to go back to doing things the old way, but it would be more like a choice if I want to do it the old way.
Right. Yeah. And if think about it this way, you know, even if folks are coming back that live in the area, there's really no snow days anymore because you can just jump online.
Exactly.
That's one thing that's kind of nice. And anybody that you've picked up that's from out of town or out of the country, I have students in different parts of the world. And so, you know, those relationships I think have gotten pretty concrete and are going to stay. So I think we all have that benefit of being able to teach anywhere in the world and reach anybody anywhere in the world. And we've always had that, but this kind of made it become more immediate and
more acceptable. It's more it's more everybody is sort of getting used to this is the way it is now, and it's leveled the playing field. Whereas, you know, a couple of years ago, I had to be kind of just in my area, my local area. Now, I can say I teach internationally, and I can market myself that way, and that opens up a whole different sort of like perception of how you're seen as an instructor.
Right.
Wow, this guy he's teaching people, you know, in London, and he's teaching people in the other side of the country, and that is pretty cool. That a couple of years ago, unless you were dumb,
that's right.
You know,
get the map and the thumbtacks out. Yeah, that's so true. I mean, you know, really, Dom was the only guy I knew that was doing it internationally on that level anyway. Mm-hmm. And that really, I think, kind of paved a way for a lot of other people, you know. I always give Dom props because he was recording his students with a video camera but way before I thought of doing that. And then I was at his place taking a lesson. I was like, man, he's taping his students. Why am I not doing that? And then, you know, that kind of planted the seed for me to start with the cameras and then recording DVDs for students on the spot. And like, here's your DVD, see you next week. And I did it that way so they could go home and review the lesson. I had one of my older students kept all the DVDs from his first lesson with me over the years and had a whole catalog of DVDs of every lesson and has brought them back every so often and played one for me. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that. But it's, you know, it's pretty cool that we have this ability. So, all right, now I have a question. Now, I'm going to start with you since we're with you right now, Bobby, but what was the moment? Because there's always a moment when you started playing. What was the moment that seed got planted for you? If you can
Ronnie Tut, Aloha from Hawaii.
Okay.
I remember playing drums and having an interest in drums very early on. Clem Burke and the Blondie, albums early on. My mother had those and I love those. But I got around 7, 8. I got into Elvis, and I was really into him. I wanted to dress like him, and so I just I started getting into the music, and Ronnie Tut. I just saw the Aloha from Hawaii special, and when I saw the Blue Ludwig drum kit and the way he played and the way he drove the band and the energy and even the way Elvis would look at him, I was like, this is the coolest, and that was it. I mean, still to this day. And I told Dave Garibaldi about that, and he was like, I never heard anybody say, that was the guy, that did it. But definitely Ronnie Tut.
Wow, Ronnie Tut. I think you're the first person that said that to me too. I mean, because I've asked a lot of people, what was the moment, when you went oh man, this is what I want to do. Wow, that's pretty amazing. All right, John Gil.
A lot of times you say Ringo. You get Ringo.
That's
you
right.
Get Neil. And those are great drummers. But Ronnie for me it was the whole package.
Right.
And he was playing drums for the King.
Right.
And then I went on and did a little deeper digging on some of these other albums that he's on. That it's incredible.
Billy Joel
records, yeah, Billy Joel records, Jerry Garcia records, Lalo Schifrin records,
right.
A lot of stuff. So incredible drummer.
Oh my God, that's but that's great. So you saw it in the movie, and so you get the visual. You got the big, massive drum kit, and you got a showman, right?
Yeah.
A massive showman doing it. That's awesome. What about for you, John?
Well, I would say that music found me. What happened with me, I remember I was a little kid, and we had a cast iron radiator in my bedroom, and I thought it was so cool to go like that, with the stick, right? So, lo and behold, one Christmas morning, there were 2 tiny kid drum sets there, of which I destroyed both of them, right? And then my dad took me on. He took me to Sam Ash Music, and he bought me a Gretsch kit, white pearl. Still remember, it was beautiful, and started taking me to drum lessons. And I was studying with this jazz guy, and everything was, on the pad with syncopation, and then music -1, play the jazz ride with him. And I got so bored, So I said to my dad, man, I can't do this anymore. And I became the product of the basement drum bands. So in school, I got a group of friends together. And we started putting a band together, we played, the high school, dances, junior high dances, whatever. And from there, it went to the bars. And from there, it went to the wedding gigs, and the teaching. But as far, I guess, with the drummers, looking back, Ringo, of course, but I think one of my greatest people that I admire is Steve Gadd. I met him a couple of times. I really love the way the guy plays. Every note is absolutely perfect, and that's what's inspired me to play all along. And I found myself, teaching, trying to pass on things that I learned. I studied with a great player. You probably know Chet DeBow. I was with him for 8 years.
Yeah, man. Chet's family was practically family with us when we were kids.
Yeah,
because I hung out with his nephews for ages, and I stay in touch with them.
Yeah, he had a thing called dialer drum. I used to call us up all the time, and you put on an answer machine, So I was playing this rock band, and all of a sudden I had to start playing merengues and bossa novas and sambas. I didn't know any of that stuff at all, right? So it was a call to Chet DeBow, and he's my Steve Gadd. Okay, I mean the dude really influenced my playing so much, and. If you're out there, Chet, listen, man, I owe the world to you. So that's kind of what happened. I mean, the music found me, and then things started to evolve, and I'm still doing it, So, and hope to be doing it until I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly, man. Look at Jim Chapin, man. What's that?
Yeah, Jim on the Plan to Process played to MTV, right? Was in a hospital,
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, it's been my friend.
Yeah. That's right. Drums are like the one. I was going to call it a person. It's not a person, but it's the one thing in your life that's a constant that you can always count on to be there. Even if you walk away for a little bit, you always come back and it's always there waiting for you. Even if you're discouraged for a minute, you go back to your drums and they're like, come on, I'll give you a hug.
Isn't it like another voice?
Oh, totally, yeah.
Like the rhythms that we learn, the rhythms and applying them to the drum set. It's like learning another language, and then learning how to read. It's learning another language. It's another way to communicate.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents on it.
My teachers from elementary school would complain to my mother. I was like, they called me a busybody, but I was constantly banging on the desk with pens and pencils and we're supposed to be doing an assignment and I'm sitting there daydreaming, hitting the desk. So, yeah, man, it's been like in the brain since, and I still do that.
Yeah.
In study hall, I'd be sitting there tapping on a desk, right? And the guy next to me would do that. I was getting thrown out and being going to the principal's office because he was the captain of the football team, okay? So I was the one that was in trouble, And that same thing actually started a band. I'm in this job and I'm like playing some stuff. This guy next to me goes, "You play drums?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm a guitar player." And I sang. Boom, all of a sudden we put a band together. So it's that we can't stop, right?
That's it. Oh, man.
Oh, God.
So... Yeah. And I'm going to check in because I just realized that we're probably like more than halfway in and I haven't even looked at the chat yet. But let me finish this round of questions and then I'll jump into the chat. So what planted the seed for you, Janine? And you're coming to this a little later than the rest of us have. I think, probably the three of us started somewhere in elementary school or junior high maybe. But for you, so you started playing pretty recently. And how did that stick in your head? Like, I'm going to play drums, or has this always been there?
Well, I played the flute for probably 5 or 6 years when I was little because I'm the youngest of 5, and our parents told us we had to play an instrument. So I had to pick something. So I played the flute. Then I wound up putting it down maybe when I got into high school, and I just didn't even bother after that. And I woke up one day. I was 46 years old, and I said, I want to learn to play an instrument. Because I felt like I really had to do that. My parents invested so much time into us in music lessons, and we had a great time growing up, playing our instruments. So I thought, what, I got to get back into it. So I thought about it, and I thought, do I want to learn to play the drums or do I want to learn to play the fiddle? And I went back and forth because I thought they were both fabulous and exciting and would be very challenging. But ultimately the drums had won out because I was using 4 limbs and I knew that was going to be really, really challenging. So I wound up taking my first drum lesson when I was 49 years old. And so the moment I walked in the door, I walked into our music store in Oneonta. It's a tiny little store. And I just got bit instantly. And then I met John and forget it. That's it. The rest is history.
Oh, my God.
And I'm going to be a student forever.
Drums win. That was
Drums
beautiful.
have won.
Drums always win. Wow, that's amazing.
I want to just tell you this, though. I had this notion in my head that I was going to, start playing like right away. Like, oh, I'll just take a couple lessons. It'll be 1, 2, 3, easy. And before you know it, it'll be fabulous. Well, guess what? I was really wrong because it's taken a long time to get where I am today. And I'm just starting. So
yeah. And
great.
It's always going to be a journey. Everybody's got their own personal path, but I mean, there's always a challenge to work on. So, the three of us who are educators, we could all say that there's something that we're still trying to get down or something new that we're trying to work on. And it's always going to be a challenge, but it does get easier as the sort of you build these neural pathways by just doing this stuff, and it gets stronger and stronger, and your coordination gets better, and things start to come easier. So your path is gonna continually get easier for you, which I believe, especially you with a great teacher, and you have the drive and the passion to keep doing it. But I think it's amazing that you've come to it at this time in your life, because there's never a wrong time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
know,
agree.
I have one student who's a welder that came to me at 72 years old.
The joy, it's
Yeah.
just for me, it's pure joy to play, and I get, so much out of it. So, I take it, I might take it some days a little too lighthearted, but I try and remember my reasons why I started in the first place. It was to be for fun, to learn, to pretty much play in my basement, but, yeah, hooked for life, student for life. So,
Student for life. That's beautiful. Well, I'm going to overlay the chat right over us and see what's happening. The chat window is scrolling there. I'm going to also pull up. Chet is in here. What? Oh my God, that's hilarious. So, Chet, how you doing, man? we got a lot of people in here. I waited too long. I should have got to the chat a lot earlier. So let's take a peek. So that's pretty funny. Well, we always have some clown from Twitch saying something inappropriate. We'll just move along. Ross Amoroso's in here just saying hello to everybody, which was probably
Ross.
right in the beginning. Bob Sears is here. Pat Ross is here. Happy Monday, Pat Ross. Vincent LaRussa is hanging. I think you guys have seen Vincent in the live stream. Lucia's here, and Lucia's saying hi to everybody.
Hey,
Hi,
Lucia.
Lucia.
Bob Sears. John Garcia's here. Sarah Thauer has awesome drum expressions. Yes, that is true, right? Because we were talking back, we were speaking about drummer face, and man, we could definitely find some embarrassing pictures of our strange faces that we make. Dom Famulara's hanging out.
Oh, Dom.
Hey,
Dom
Sam.
says, this is huge. How do you all accept the challenge of adapting to online teaching? And we kind of addressed that, I think. And what sparked Janine to start her Instagram channel? Yes, we're getting to that for sure. Dom also wants to know how Janine adapted to online learning. So we're gonna field all of Dom's questions in a minute. Chet DeBow said stopped in for a minute. Big hi, Jimmy and John. You all make me smile. Love you. Keep working on the room. Yeah, man. And as I said earlier, Chet never wants to take credit for this, but I feel like he really inspired me to keep playing because I hung out with his nephews. And then Chet ran a gig for us when we were like 12 at a nursing home. And man, he just made it feel like a real thing. It was like, oh, this is a gig. Like, we can do this. I can do this as a job. And he really gave me that feeling of professionalism. And I always thank you for that. Thank you, Chet. When did John set up his studio? Man, Dom's fielding all the questions. Yes. Ross is saying hi to Chet. Pat is saying hi to Dom. Everybody's saying hey, it's a love fest. We're having a beautiful little love fest. Excellent. Oh, my God. Yeah, there we go.
You're not going to see that kind of love fest on the banjo page, right?
That's right. The banjo, listen, the banjo page has nothing on us. And the bassoon page, those guys are asleep. What the heck? Way to go for it, Janine. Pat Ross. Hello, Chet. Pat saying hi to Chet. Chet, this is Ross. Ross, meet Chet. Pat, meet Ross. All right, anyway. Al, what's up, man? Al Henneborn's in here. Before COVID, did any of you attend the local weeknight jam nights? The local weeknight jam nights. So before COVID, just in general, like jam nights, maybe we'll address that because we're going to talk. Oh, and I meant to say that, Lucia. Happy International Women's Day, Bobby. All right, let me jump back into our Zoom screen. So we're caught up on everything. Dom had some good questions, so I'm going to keep this for me. I'll bring us back. And Dom was asking how you adapted, Janine, to the online learning environment. So how was that for you?
It was difficult at first. It really was. I had just come off some surgery, and I had an 8-week period off from playing, and COVID hit. So when I was able to start playing again, I wasn't properly set up. I literally had a Kindle on a ladder trying to take my lessons and look one way and play, try and play my drums the other way. And I was so frustrated and so getting upset about it. So I reached out to John. I said, John, you got to help me. So we made the transition. We did get the mic, the Yeti mic, and the webcam, and I'm just so much better set up now for my lessons that now I love them. I mean, I never, other than that surgery, I don't miss a lesson. Period. So it's
Awesome.
been good. Yeah, so far it's now I feel a little bit more settled, and I'm used to it too. So, but I have to say, I am so happy I had my first 2 years in studio with John because I really did learn so much. And I think to start now at this age online, it's very challenging. So I'm very grateful for that. But
Yeah. I think, the technical aspect of it, especially for students, as musicians, a lot of us, we have interfaces, we have home recording studios, some of us don't. I mean, some of us had to go through that same journey. But I think for the students, it's even harder. And especially for, some of the younger ones are on tablets and they're on iPhones and they don't have any direction. And maybe the parents don't even know how to solve those issues. So I'm actually building a course. And in the course, I'm putting in a whole section of how to help your students get the most out of online lessons. But I will say there is a hack, not a hack, but a fix for iOS devices on my blog. Go to the Zoom update entry, and then there's a little description of how you get the students to update their settings so that they at least get decent audio. But it's a challenge. If you're on a tablet, you can't plug in a Blue Yeti to the tablet because the software just doesn't do it. So, I always try to encourage people, get on a laptop, get a Blue Yeti, or a snowball microphone, $50, and it'll sound better than the built-in mic. So, yeah, man. So I just realized that I have 58 questions that I didn't get to yet. Dom, if you have any other questions, keep them coming. So I'm going to ask a couple of non-drummer related questions, sort of, because everything relates back to drums, I think. Even if we're talking pizza, it comes back to drums somehow. I mean, if you watch Secret Weapons 1, the Joe Jamayer DVD, he does play single strokes on a pizza at one point in the DVD. And I'm not kidding. It's in there. I'm going to skip a couple little things. Who is somebody that wasn't a drum teacher for you, that was maybe an educator in school, somebody that really had an impact on you, whether it was, but not, non-drum teachers I'm talking. So, or it was, somebody that was just a mentor to you, or maybe a teacher. We'll start with you, Janine. Is there somebody outside of the drumming thing that just had an impact, like lifelong impact, that you remember?
yeah, actually, my art teacher, I went to college I studied art history actually. That's another thing that I really got bit right away was taking my art classes in school. So she was wonderful. I mean taught us so much, and then I went on to college and had studied it even further. But yeah, I think just it's so parallel to playing an instrument. It's another form. It's an art form, but yeah, definitely. My art teacher really had an impact on me. Just a great positive impact. So I take her with me all the time, and we keep in touch.
Oh, that's great. And
Yeah.
and obviously she's still with us, right? So
Yes.
awesome. How about you, John? Somebody that may have had an impact on you.
Yeah, I can look back about 5 years ago. I was taking some online courses at Berkeley, and one of the courses that I took was a rock history course. And the professor was, for 30 years, he was the rock critic for the Boston Globe.
Wow.
And I was submitting assignments, into him. And I originally had taken some drumming courses there, and I wanted to get a certificate, so I took this history course. And he said to me one day, he goes, listen, I really think that you should apply for the degree program. I'm like, yeah, why? He goes, I like the way you write. I have a master's in English, so a little bit of writing background, whatever. So I said, well, I'll apply, but I need a faculty recommendation. So he wrote a recommendation, and I got in, and from 4 years from that point on, it was an incredible journey. But I don't think I would have gone there if he didn't believe in me. You know, here I was, you know, I was an adult a little later on in life, you know, and saying like, how am I going to do this? And he said, well, you will do it, you know, and he goes, you apply, I'll write the recommendation and let's see what happens. And I got in. So that was the beginning of a really a life-changing journey for me, you know. And thanks, I really, I appreciate what he did. And that's what I try to do for other people too, you know. Believe in them, you know, and then help them believe more in themselves. That's what he did for me. He believed in me, you know.
Yeah.
So I wound up, you know, 4 years later graduating from there, and you know, it's life changing, definitely.
Yeah.
Without him, I probably wouldn't have done it. You know, I mean, the other courses
Right.
that I took is you take the course to learn, you get the grade, you move on. You know, but he was the guy that gave me, you know, gave me the inspiration to go and do that.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you think about it as educate, you know, we're educators and we it's not just drums, you know, we're inspiring people, we're hopefully encouraging people just to bring the best out of them. I try to, you know, kind of instill the idea of values to people. You know, it's sort of, you know, if you life coach somebody while you're teaching drums, that's what it's really about because the drumming is probably easier than the life stuff, you know. So if we can instill both, you know, we're really having an impact on people. So
I think it's also like with him. I think he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself.
yeah,
And,
that's a good point.
and I think that's when, as an educator, you know, we want to help people grow their way and help them build the confidence in themselves. We see something in them. We often see ourselves, okay, and the struggles that we've gone through, and knowing that they can get past whatever challenge that is and grow. And that's what he felt about me. And, you know, again, you know, that was the influence. It changed my life. It really did, you know.
Ah, that's nice. Bobby, how about you?
Well, for me, I'm just gonna kind of go traditional and say my father, who was an immigrant, was born in Calabria, Italy, as well as my mother, and they came to this country at a very young age and did the American dream and became quite successful through the old-fashioned way, working hard, doing things the right way, keeping your nose clean, and just building relationships with people and just being good people. So, you know, my father didn't really want me to be a professional drummer. I was the firstborn American son. He wanted me to go to college and become a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. And that was just not in my cards because I really love this instrument so much. What I learned from him was if you're passionate about something and you have that drive and spirit, you can't let anything get in your way. Not even your father or
Right.
anybody who's going to tell you no. And, you know, I learned passion, drive, heart, and just not taking no for an answer if you really want something, and you make it happen. You have to make it happen. And that goes across the board, music, life, the whole nine. So actually, one of my best drum teachers is my father, and music teachers, life teachers, and he never played an ounce of music.
Nah, that's amazing. And, you know, for those of us who know Dom Famularo and his book, The Cycle of Self-Empowerment, know that story that Dom tells about his father. And it's very similar, right? It's sort of, you know, I remember my parents too saying like, yeah, you're going to play drums, right? But you know, what are you going to do for a job? And it's like, I'm going to play the drums. And it's like, no, that's not a job. The drums are not a job. What's the matter with you? So, and I remember my grandparents kind of saying that as well. Like, you're going to do something else too, right? You know, like you're going to have something to fall back on. There was always that, you know, fear. I think it was more fear for us, right, than from our parents. They're still supportive and push you and say like, yeah, you could do anything, maybe except for that, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great. That's
But you're right. It's fear, and it's a fear mentality. But the fear is, it's a love and fear because they trying to look out for you. But fear is fear, and you know the more we can put that fear in a box, the more we can really grow and explore and learn for ourselves. You get bit, you know, don't put your hand back in that box.
That's
you
right.
know, like, you know.
Don't you think it's also that people look at musicians that they go out to play, where everyone else goes out to work,
Right.
right? And so, oh, you're out there to play, you're having a good time. Yeah, well, what about all the hours that I've been able to put in to be able to do this? But no, you're going out to play and have fun. So
Yeah.
everybody else is working.
Yeah,
Lug up the drums, here, carry them up a flight of stairs.
Right. We do the work. We play. I mean, but we do the work. And what's interesting is, you have this work ethic, but it never quite feels like work, even teaching, because it's what we love. It's coming from the heart, right? So, and this is how we express ourselves. So, I never feel like I'm going to do a job. It always feels like play, which is such a
the work
wonderful
is the load
thing.
in and the load out. The fun is the playing.
That's right. Yeah. All right. So I will say load outs, load ins, load outs. Sometimes those are no fun. Yeah. I have pictures of carts and crates and, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes that's not fun.
Spiral staircase in the officers club in Fort Hamilton.
Oh my God.
No elevator like this. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's great.
I don't miss those days. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't miss those days.
Dom wanted to know, like, what are the top 3 drum books? And I would say, for me, go-to books. Everybody's gonna probably have Stick Control on the list, because Stick Control just is the best technique book, or the most used technique book forever, since 1935. It's just an incredible resource, because it's so malleable. It's like, oh, here's this stuff, and here's 9 million ways to do it, right? So you have that. And for me, It's Your Move is a great, one of the top great books to have in your catalog. And also, I would say, definitely the Will Coxon book. There's so many that are on my list of go-to stuff, and then you could break it into categories. But for top 3, those will be my top 3. So to keep it short, because I could probably go on about 20, 30 other books very quickly. What about you, Bobby?
Well,
top 3.
My top 3: the Nard book, which you can see I got one hanging on the wall there. Stick Control for sure. And I like the Chapin book and Syncopation. I like the classic. The Holy Trinity to me is Stick Control, Syncopation, and Chapin's book. But there's so many. There's so many really good books out there. It depends on what I'm teaching or interested in learning. But if I had to go on a desert island, those 3 I mentioned with the Nard book is I feel like I can be good with those.
Lucia just started the Chapin book, so she's digging into that now. It's awesome. What about you, John?
Well, I agree with Bobby. Syncopation, man, I teach that many, many different ways. The Weaker Side by Don Famularo. I mean, that is a book that I really. The nice thing about that book is it gives you a plan,
Yeah.
So I like teaching that, for the left hand and also for the left foot, doing it that way. And then a book that influenced me that I use quite often in teaching is Basics of Hand Development by Chet DeBow.
Yeah.
My buddy over there. And the reason I like that book is because not only he gives you the technique, but he gives you an explanation about why you're doing that technique. And when I do that with students, I like to do like with metronome marks on there, and then each week gradually see the improvement in there. But it gives them something to read and understand why they're doing that.
Right.
I remember when he was teaching me mullet, he never even said the word mullet at all. He talked about the whip,
Right.
And then the doubles he was talking about, he actually had me walk around the studio going like this, like I felt like an idiot bouncing a ball,
Yeah.
But those explanations, pumping, all that stuff, that's in the book.
Yeah.
And I think people relate to that, So that's my top 3.
What's your top 3, Janine? What's going on by
Whatever
you?
John Gil's top 3 is.
Nice. Yeah, that's what you're working out of.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now I'm going to ask another non-drum related, but just what is a good source of inspiration that you've author or book that's been inspiring you lately, Janine?
Oh boy, can we go to Bobby first? I have to
Sure.
think about this.
I know Bobby's answer. But yeah, go for it, Bobby.
So, I'm glad you brought it up because in my last question, I was kind of tossing which way I was going to go. So I'm into this gentleman by the name of Darren Hardy.
Yep.
And he's a improvement, helps you, what do they call him? Personal development guru. And I'm going through a program, a year-long program right now with him called The Hero's Journey. So actually tomorrow at 1 o'clock I have a session, and every Tuesday from now until the end of the year is a session with myself and about 6,000 other high-achieving type of people trying to learn leadership skills for the 21st century. And that has a lot to do with, who you are and then who you influence. And I got into Darren Hardy about 3 years ago. He has this free morning pump you up kind of email you can get called Darren Daily.
Yep.
And I watch that Monday to Friday every day, and then I journal about it. And I've grown to just meet some really great non-drumming friends through this platform, and I'm just becoming a better person. And the motto is be the exception.
Right.
# be the exception. And anytime I feel like I'm in a spot where I'm struggling or feeling a little weak, I just pull my, as Dom say, big boy pants up and say # be the exception. And it's a mindset and it's an attitude, and I don't only want to live it, I need to teach it. And
that's right.
That's what I teach my drum students more than anything, more than paradiddles and anything else. It's, are you going to be the exception or not?
Right. And that's the reinforcement. It's, you read this stuff, you get motivated, you get inspired, but it's through sharing it and through teaching it immediately. As soon as you're inspired by something, by giving that to someone else immediately, that's really what it's all about. And that's the lesson I'm talking about in teaching drums. We're teaching life lessons. Everything that I've seen from Darren Hardy goes back to value-driven stuff. It all starts there. Get your value system. Have almost a vision, a statement that you make that you're going to live by. So if you can make a mission statement about your life, and whatever that is, it doesn't have a mission statement can be a work in progress. But you start developing that mission statement, and that comes through in what we do. Right. What about you, Janine? Did you come up with something?
Well, actually, yeah, I did. I don't have any one particular person, or
right.
I'm inspired by so many things every single day. It could be really the simplest of things. And I agree with Bobby. I mean, be the exception. Lead with an open heart, and wake up loving, wake up, jump out of bed loving and appreciating things. So I'm just inspired by so many things, so many things. So.
And you hit on something, there's in my phone, I have in my notes, every morning I write, 3 things I'm grateful for. And, Darren Hardy would be one guy who mentions that. Also Stephen Covey, who's another value-driven author. It's like, it really makes a difference if you think about the people you're grateful for in your life, or things that you're grateful for. So I make a list every morning when I go down to the beach with the dog, whether it's 20 degrees out or 40 degrees like today. We go down to the beach and I type in my grateful list for the day, and I keep a journal of that. So what about you, John?
Well, there was a book that was required in an entrepreneurship course that I took, and it was called Good to Great. And I really liked the concept of it, and what we talked about in the course and what the book was all about was that you don't have to invent something new. You can take something that is already there, that exists, and make it a little bit better. And I look at that, as life. I mean, you can be living good, but how do you make it great?
Right.
And the thing is that, when I think about it, is maybe you'll never be great, but you're moving forward and striving and trying to reinvent yourself and make yourself a little bit better each day. Just like, looking at a product and how do we make the product a little bit better? I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I just got to make one go a little bit better, a little smoother. So yeah, the book is called Good to Great. And I really enjoyed the book, and it's just it becomes like a mantra, How do I make today a little bit better than it was? It was good yesterday. What do I do today? Like you said, 3 things to be grateful for, 3 things that I would want to improve on or whatever, and make it a little bit better. So good.
Yeah, that's great. And think about this too. If you're looking for sources of inspiration right now, I mean, especially, it's really funny with COVID. 1 million podcasts came up, right? Lots of podcasts started to happen. And I was of the mindset, because most podcasts are a listening source, that I was like, podcast, everybody's got a podcast. And then, recently, so I also want to mention the Sessions panel, by the way, which is very highly motivational and great storytelling with Dom Famularo interviewing all these incredible musicians. Go to the Sessions panel on YouTube and subscribe, follow, watch all those videos. But I got into some podcasts lately, and Janine does a wonderful thing, and there's all these resources where every day I go on, whether it's Breakfast with Vinny Caluto's podcast, or Alec Baldwin has one where he's interviewing people, and he did an interview with Mick Fleetwood. That's really amazing. It's not really about drumming, but it's about kind of the history of Fleetwood Mac. There's all these amazing podcasts that I've come across. Jane Goodall has one, which is mind-blowing, and as well as all the drummer ones. And there's just no shortage of material out there for inspiration. So whether you're reading books, listening to podcasts, watching the Sessions panel, watching Dom, do his thing, taking a lesson with somebody, there's many, many sources, and you just have to go for it. And, that way you're never feeling like you're in a rut. There's always something that's going to pick you up, especially drummers. All of us, we're in this crazy family, this ginormous extended family of crazy people. So, and we belong together. Very much so.
You don't have to watch a podcast. You can just listen to it, which is really cool.
Yeah. So I have a little zipper up on my coat when I go out in the morning. So I tuck my phone right in there with the podcast playing, peeking out of the zipper, and I got Cooper with me, and we go out for 4 miles to walk or whatever, and I listen to a podcast. So it's
very important, because you put good in, you'll get good out. Whatever you're putting in your mind, visually, through your ears, it's what you're gonna put out. So why not take the time to feed it good stuff? In the world we live today, you don't have to go very far to get negative news and negative information. Back to the idea of fear, this is on purpose, because to get people's attention in a world where attention spans are short and everybody's vying for your attention, they use fear tactics to keep your attention. So just throw that stuff away and listen to a good podcast, read a good book, watch a good movie, study with somebody, even if it's not drumming. It's something that you have a passion for. That will just open up your mind and your life, so that that's what you are putting out as well. And if we get more of that happening, everybody's gonna be drummers. We're gonna have competition on who loves each other more.
Very good. Well, we're kind of up at the top of the hour. I just want to see if anybody has any other questions in the chat. I actually have the chat overlaid over us, but I can pull in the chat window. By the way, I didn't see my mom in there tonight, but I do have the live scene with chat and mom image scene that I'm going to pull up real quick, just so you can see my mom there next to me. And over on the left panel is the chat, but I'm going to pull up the chat over my Zoom squad, because otherwise I won't be able to see them. So any other questions before we wind up wrapping? And I just want to, while we do that, I just have 2 little lightning round questions. So favorite coffee type beverage? Go. Espresso. John.
Iced latte. I'll be different. A latte.
Iced latte?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very nice. All right. Favorite food?
Answer the
Pizza.
Hands down. Pizza.
I know Janine's saying pizza, right?
I said pasta.
You did? Oh, that's right. That's right. Pasta.
We don't want you around here no more.
Sorry.
Oh my God.
Pizza and pasta is the same thing.
Favorite adult beverage?
All of them.
All right. I'm going to say it. Jack Daniels.
Oh, wow. All right. Jack Daniels. What about John? What do you got?
Iced tea. Long Island iced tea. There you go.
Yeah.
That was great. It was like iced tea. Wonderful.
Long Island iced tea. There you go.
Pat Ross says.
There's a song by that, Long Island iced tea, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Bob said, thanks to all. This was fun as expected. Great surprise guest, the Dom. Yeah, it was great having Dom in here. It's always fun when Dom pops in. He's popped into a couple of my live streams, and it's always like everybody just gets super excited because Dom just gets everybody super pumped up. It's his job.
Fabulous.
I mean, how many? I get wonder. Like, this guy is everywhere all the time. Has he cloned himself?
He has. He has cloned himself completely.
You know, was it Clooney? He always calls himself Clooney, right? Cloney.
Cloney. George Clooney. All right. One other question. The first record you ever bought, if you remember. First record that you ever bought.
Kiss Alive 2.
Whoa!
I got a weird one. You guys are not going to believe this.
Oh, no. Barry Manilow?
No.
Very mad.
Worse. Absolutely worse than that. El Paso by Marty Robbins.
Oh, that's good. That's a good song, though.
Really? What about you,
Yeah,
Jimmy?
really. I don't know why. The little 45 thing, that's not around anymore.
Wow.
I don't remember.
And another one, Sink the Bismarck. That was another horrible song.
Wow. Oh, man. I think mine was Double Vision by Foreigner.
Oh, you just.
Yeah.
See, Bobby had the good stuff. Come on.
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you guys, this was super fun. I think we had a great time tonight. I know I certainly did.
Yes, thanks for having us. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's awesome to feature you guys. Just so you know, all of the links to my special guests, their websites, and Janine's Oh for Drum's Sake Instagram page /podcast. That's all in the description of the video. So if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe and all that good stuff if you like what we do. And definitely check out their links. Bobby A. Drums and John Gil on drums.com. So their websites are there as well. And hopefully these guys will come back at some point as my special guest again, because I think we have way more. We probably could have talked for another hour, I would suspect.
Isn't that always the case?
But yeah, that's
Always the case.
it's true. And I've been fortunate that Janine's asked me to be on her show a couple of times, so it's been really super fun. And we were on with Dom over the holidays, and that was an incredible one. Go back and watch that one. I think it's in your IGTV stuff on Oh for Drum's Sake.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
yeah, there's a really great episode around the holidays. Me and Bobby A were both sporting Santa hats.
Yeah.
And Dom gave us the lyrics to his song, which was incredible.
Yeah, that was
What was the
great.
name of the song? I actually featured it in my podcast, in my live
Yeah, it was
stream.
Christmas.
Yeah, that was really amazing. And I think there's probably something coming up in April, right?
Yes. You're coming back onto our podcast in April with your Zoom squad.
Yeah, with the Zoom Squad. So, Zoom Squad, you guys are in here tonight listening, so you're all on notice. We're doing it.
Yep.
Okay.
Well,
Can I give a shameless plug, please? Just one shameless.
Oh, yeah. Anybody need to plug anything? Go.
No, not about me. I think everyone out there, if you don't have it already, get Filling in the Grooves. And
Yes.
it's a digital version. That's the one I bought. It is fantastic. And you can not only see the transcription, but you can watch and you can hear Jim play that. So shameless plug.
Thank you. I
So-
appreciate it.
Yes, and I appreciate that book very much. You know that. So get out there and buy that book and support this guy.
One of the hardest working men in the business right here, Jim Toscano. Thank you so
That's it.
much. for
Thank you,
having
thank
us
you,
and
thank you.
All the great contributions you make to our craft and our industry. It's really
I
amazing.
appreciate it. And thank you for this, great community and great friendship that I think we've developed over just this year, I think, just It's been really wonderful. So thanks, everybody. Come and see us on the Hand Technique Workshop Thursday night at 7 p.m. We'll be playing some more fun combinations, and Lucia's written some combinations. She's in here tonight. So, if you have the booklet, if you follow what we do on Thursdays, you do get a copy of that PDF, which is now, it's only 80 pages long. And there's all kinds of combos from students as well as myself that we've put together in this great book. So come see us on Thursday night, and again next week on Monday. And thank you so much to my Zoom folks tonight and the O for Drum Sig squad that we have here. So we'll see you guys real soon, and we're gonna roll the titles. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye.